Hi guys, it's Isabel, and today on my channel I'm going to be filming my favorite books of 2016. These books aren't in any particular order, but without further ado, let's get started. My first favorite book of 2016 was Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare. This is the first book in her new trilogy, The Dark Artifices, and it follows the story of Emma Carstairs and Julian Blackthorne following the events of City of Heavenly Fire in the Mortal Instruments series. If you guys haven't read The Mortal Instruments or The Infernal Devices, I definitely recommend reading this before the series because it ties in a lot of characters and events that happen in those two series. So definitely read this first. I really love the characterization of Julian and Emma in Lady Midnight. Emma is honestly such a badass, and the amount of love and caring that Julian shows towards his family is really admirable. And also the romance in this book killed me. Oh my god, all the feels. I really need to read Lord of Shadows. I can't wait for it to come out. My second favorite book of 2016 will be no surprise to anybody who is in the Bookstagram/booktube community, and that is A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. This is the second book in the A Court of Thorns and Roses series. A Court of Thorns and Roses came out last year, and I love Sarah J. Maas, so I obviously immediately picked it up, but I really wasn't that impressed. It's a Beauty and the Beast retelling, but I just thought it was okay. But A Court of Mist and Fury, on the other hand, picks up where the events in ACOTAR, or A Court of Thorns and Roses, left off, and it's kind of like a Persephone's Hades story retelling, and I love Greek mythology, so I really liked the subtle parallel she had kind of going on. It's just a mind-blowing book. I tore through it. It's 600 pages or something like that, but I finished it in 2 days, and then I immediately picked it up and reread it because it was amazing. So definitely check it out. I love the characters. I am so excited for A Court of, what is it, ACOTAR? A Court of Wings and Ruin, I think that's what it is. So that's coming out, I want to say in March or April, sometime in the spring of 2017, and I'm so ready. Sarah J. Maas, please don't destroy me, oh my god. The next book on my favorites list is a little bit different from the other two. It's called Quiet, The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking by Susan Cain. This is a book that talks about introverts in this world and kind of their strengths, even though we live in a society that favors extroverts. So statistically, about 20% of people are introverts, myself included. Even though we live in a society that favors extroverts, across all species, there seems to be almost a 1-to-5 ratio of introverts to extroverts. So even though as a society we favor extroverts, introverts actually seem to have some sort of advantage and are important in ensuring our survival. Reading this book was honestly just really insightful. I felt like I got to understand myself a lot better as an introvert, and it wasn't just that kind of clear cut, oh, extroverts are outgoing and talking to people, introverts are shy and nerdy. It's a lot more nuanced than that, and I really enjoyed reading it. The next book on my list is one that I actually had to read in my literature fantasy class, and that is The Hobbit by JRR Tolkien. I surprisingly haven't read The Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit, but when I found out that we were reading The Hobbit in my literature fantasy class, I was super excited. I plan on picking up the rest of the Lord of the Rings series in 2017, so I'm really ready for that. I'm sure most of you guys have probably read it. But basically it follows the story of Bilbo Baggins and a group of 12 dwarves in their journey to recover their lost treasure and defeat a couple of dragons along the way. Or defeat one dragon and a couple of other monsters. Honestly, Tolkien is the king of world building. The world of Middle-earth is just so descriptive and so beautiful, from Bag End all the way to the Lonely Mountain. It's so well constructed. And from what I've heard of Lord of the Rings, Tolkien once again works his magic. The next book on my favorites list is Kindred by Octavia Butler. This was another book that I read for my literature fantasy class, and I wasn't really expecting to like it that much, but it totally blew me away. This is kind of classified as time slip fantasy, which means that the main characters travel back in time, but the present doesn't continue, so kind of like the Chronicles of Narnia. And it's about a woman named Dana who's living in the 1960s, I believe, who travels back to the antebellum South, so before the Civil War, where slavery is the main part of society. It was not what I expected. When you think of fantasy, you don't think of real life stuff. You think of high fantasy, like Tolkien and Sarah J. Maas and stuff like that, with fairies and magic and dragons. This was a really interesting and compelling read, and it's really hard for me to put into words what was so engrossing about it. But honestly, I just completely devoured that book. It was really good. I would definitely recommend it if you guys want a little bit deviation from your normal fantasy literature. The last book I have to mention is the other publication by Sarah J. Maas in 2016, and that is, of course, Empire of Storms, which is the 5th book in the Throne of Glass series. I was first introduced to Sarah J. Maas through the Throne of Glass series, obviously, and I have honestly loved seeing Selena grow and change, and Empire of Storms took out my heart, stomped all over it, ripped it into shreds, and basically I just don't know. I don't know how to process. I genuinely haven't cried that much over a novel since Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, and anybody who knows me that like Harry Potter is my favorite series, but Throne of Glass is definitely like second. So for those of you guys who haven't read the Throne of Glass series, it follows the story of an assassin who is brought to the king's court in order to compete to become the king's assassin. And along the way, mysterious things start happening, and she has to find out what's killing off all of her competitors before it kills her. We get to see the main character grow so much throughout the 5 novels, and it was honestly just a phenomenal read. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Comment down below what some of your favorite reads of 2016 were, and I'll be sure to check them out. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!